Hi, AP Govers. Here's another review and prep slash video where we take little bits of history to relate them to terms and concepts that you should know for your AP Gov, sort of to practice putting them in context. Now, today's event is the city of New Orleans being founded on May 7th, 1718. I can guarantee you there's going to be no question about needing to know when New Orleans was founded. I doubt even for a push. But I just thought this was a topic to give us some context today. And if you want to know, it was founded by Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne. He was a French colonial administrator, though he was himself actually born in Montreal, which you guys know about colonialism and all that. So here's how I was able to make some connections. I wanted to connect it to some political terms. So right now, you have a mayor preparing to run again next fall. And there was this article by Jessica Williams on the Mayor LaToya Cantrell. And it said that her campaign war chest is growing. See how it compares to other incumbents. So it was about just how much money she's amassed. So what is an incumbent? Right? I think you know what that is, but let's double check. So an incumbent is a government official, whether it's a mayor, a councilman, a governor, a president, who is in office, but they are seeking reelection. But they have some advantages being an incumbent because their name is just recognizable. They've seen it on signs, they've heard it before. They have some advantages when it comes to campaign financing. They often have some in the bank already. All right, so being an incumbent usually gives you a large advantage over your challenger. Okay, another term, redistricting. We all know about the 2020 census. We talked about reapportionment last week. So this article from the Center Square, published in February, is about a group of Louisiana voting rights advocates. They were urging lawmakers to commit to 4 principles, which I put down here, that they say will help ensure a fair redistricting. So in other words, when they draw the lines again, I know our buddy John likes to study those lines being drawn. They want to make sure it's done fair. They want to make sure it wasn't done in such a way to help one party over the other, gerrymandering. So it says, after the federal government's once-a-decade population census, states create new political boundaries that reflect the results. Fair Districts Louisiana, that's the name of the group, is asking citizens and elected officials to sign a pledge committed to a redistricting process that is transparent and nonpartisan, leading to districts that preserve communities and give each voter equal representative power. Think of some of the court cases we learned, right? About voting, one man, one vote, how changing those lines, were they represented the way they should? So these are the 4 principles that they believed in. Respect existing communities, making sure there's transparency, equality, and integrity. Here's another term, safe seat. This is from the end of March, also by the Center Square, and it says, 2 Democratic state senators in runoff for Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. Right? So they were electing 2 new members to Congress. And their 5th Congressional District is considered a safe seat for Republicans, and Democrats dominate the 2nd Congressional District, meaning it's pretty safe for that party. No matter who runs, if they belong to that party, it's a pretty safe bet that they will have that. Makes sort of sense of that safe seat. So far we have safe seat, we have incumbent, and you might even be able to connect it to some of those Supreme Court cases. All right, another term is whip. I know we've mentioned Steve Scalise this year. He is now the House Minority Whip. He was the House Majority Whip in the past. He does represent Louisiana's 1st Congressional District. He's been in office since 2008. You may remember he was the one who was unfortunately shot at that baseball game years ago, but has luckily recovered. So what is a whip? A whip is an official of a political party whose task it is to ensure party discipline in legislature. Basically meaning like if you're in a party, this is mostly the way you should be voting. Not to say that they have to always vote the party lines, but mostly they want to make sure they're voting the party lines. So think of them, as it says in the last bullet, as the party's enforcers. Okay, so far you have incumbent, safe seat, redistricting, some of those court cases, and whip. Okay, what about select committee? Oh, and I should mention that Steve Scalise, did I mention this? His, where he represents, it includes most of the New Orleans suburbs. So that's the connection to today. Okay, so what is a select committee? A select committee, or a special committee, as you see, is a committee established by the Senate for a limited time to perform a particular study or investigation. So you see, related to the coronavirus, these better not be permanent committees because this thing better not be around forever. So he was selected as the ranking member of the Select Committee on the Coronavirus Crisis. And this is from a year ago, from March 2020, when all of this was so fresh and new. So this actually was from the Congress's, no, this was from their Congress's page or Scalise's page when I looked it up. But Republican Whip Steve Scalise released the following statement. So I think it was probably from his page, upon his appointment as the Republican leader of the Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis. So he talks about, what the priority in Congress is, confronting the coronavirus crisis and work with the Trump administration so that each of our states reopen and our economy, maintaining the health and safety of people, and then going on to complain about Democrats because, he's the minority whip now. So he has to complain about the other party was, but anyway, so that's a select committee, right? So, think, of coronavirus being an example of a select committee is, I don't know, would you select the coronavirus? I don't know, think of a mnemonic to remember it. Okay, but he is also on a standing committee. So a standing committee is a permanent committee established under the standing rules of the Senate and specializing in the consideration of particular subject areas. I know we've gone over these terms before, right? But hopefully putting it back in context again and just review and reinforcement will help you remember. So Steve Scalise is on the committee. He's on the Energy and Commerce Committee. And a little fun fact over here, it is the oldest continuous standing committee in the U.S. House of Representatives. All right, so sorry, I just found out about 15 minutes ago I wouldn't be in for class today. So I'm glad I already had this made to record for you guys. So once again, standing committee, select committee, whip, safe seat, redistricting, incumbent, and try to challenge yourself. What were those one man, one votes? How does this relate to Supreme Court cases when we talk about redistricting? All right, good practice for you guys. Fill this in. And I'll be here for you next class if you have any questions. Will I be here next class? I should be here next class. I'll fill you guys all in on what's up later. All right, cheers.